Style Selling, Part 2. This is Rich Rudnick. I'm your host and trainer. Excited to have you back. Today we will pick up where we left off last week and dig in deeper to behavior style selling. Forget about I'm all of a sudden coming down with a little something or other. I'm not sure what that is, so bear with me. We'll along here. Let's do our webinar rules here real quickly, just as are with the others, just as it was last time. Not put us on hold. I want you to put your phone on mute. I'm actually going to utilize that function where your mic is open more so at the end of our call. We're going to be doing some role playing. I'll actually take the general mute off, but I want you to keep your own phone on mute. Next on hold, we're going to utilize the chat feature even more. We'll do a little test here, make sure we're up and rolling on that. As I mentioned before, take a lot of notes. We will be covering a lot of information. And for your sake, let's keep distractions and background noise down. Let's put those draft horse blinders on and really dig into this. We're going to get into some key components of how clients make decisions, the kind of products they select, so forth. This is very crucial for your business. So really take this to task and learn a lot today. Let's talk about materials that you should have in front of you. You received via email behavior selling skills. It's a 4-page document. You should have that in front of you. They actually look like they're the same pages, although they're not. They're reflective of the different behaviors. Excuse me. You'll have the 4 dimensions of normal behavior. You should have that in front of you. And they also have the selling tips notes page with the answers. Hopefully you're able to complete those and you got all of the answers from last week. Excuse me. You'll also have a group exercise sheet that we'll use for the role play at the end of our time. This will take us all the way up for our full 90 minutes, including our role play. We're going to give you time in between the role plays. We'll have 4 of them for dialogue as well as chat. So let's be for that. Let's get ready to participate. See what Behavior Selling 2 has to share about our growth and converting more sales. Let's talk about what we learned last week. As you recall, we took the DISC assessment. It helped you to understand basically your results. We talked about the checklist for communicating. You chose your top 1 or 2 communication don'ts. I actually gave you some action plan exercises on that. We talked about the perceptions under stress and how you might respond and things to keep in mind when you're under those levels of stress so a sale isn't lost as a result. Descriptor page. In fact, I need you to have your DISC behavior assessment in front of you as well, and I'd like you to turn to that descriptor page because we'll start talking about that in a moment. But that's your right page 10. Remember the graph. I'll put a sale of that up here in just a moment. Talk about the importance of motivating and managing. If you're a manager or you are being managed, it's important to communicate the best ways either for you to be managed or you to understand the people you're managing, how they want to be motivated and managed. We explained graph and wheel, and then we started introducing behavior selling to you by talking about blending your style. We're going to take that even further here to talk about our action plans today. What we're going to today is picking up where we left off. Believe it or not, understanding you. Not done working on you. We're going to go deeper into the sales side of things. For you to understand yourself as a salesperson, understanding your strengths and development needs. You will be continually working on self-improvement and self-development in this time. We'll talk about behavior style matching. You have good matches, you have worst behavior matches. You need to understand what are your best and worst behavior style matches. You have to make some decisions on whether to delegate those people off to someone who would be a better behavioral match if you can do that, or how to relearn how to blend to that behavior because that is and will affect sales otherwise. product selection, we'll get into products that your products select based on their behavior. With you having an understanding of that and you're watching their behavior, you're in a much better place to serve them, their needs, and close more sales. So we'll be talking about that. Reduce sales cycle. I'm sure all of you, we could get a big hand and a hand raised that if we could reduce the sales cycle, you would. I don't want to say that's a magic pill. Basically, what we'll be talking about on there are key words and phrases as well as positioning to help reduce that. It's not rocket science, but there are some good tips and ways that can help you in reducing the sales cycle. We get that deeper actually in core selling skill, which is our next set of what's coming up. We'll talk about the 4 dimensions of normal behavior. You should have that up. A lot of this will be carry-on material for you moving on after this, and then we'll get into the behavior role play. So stay tuned. We'll be going through a lot of material. Let's take notes. Let's participate. Let's get in on the chat and so forth. I'll do a chat check-in with you here in just a minute or two. I want to hang descriptor page up, and you have this from your DISC assessment. So just take 5 seconds and get to that page. It should be roughly page 10 for most of you. Here are basic behaviors. And we'll talk about your behavior, and I have your sample graphs here. I want to make sure everyone has theirs up and so forth. Remember, we have the D for dominant. These are extrovert, task-oriented individuals. The influencers, extrovert, relationship-oriented people. Eddies, introvert, relationship-oriented people. Compliant, introvert, task-oriented individuals. Let's do a quick chat check here. I want to make sure that everyone has their page in front of you. And the next thing that I want to check with you on, I want to make sure, and for example, and looking at the page, that you understand your top 2 behaviors. In other words, if this was your DISC page, you would know that you are a dominant and a compliant because you're going to be working in your 2 primary behaviors. So everybody, get that open. Just give me a yes that you understand your 2 primary behaviors, whether you're a dominant influencer, influence steady, or whatever your mix is. Have this descriptor page in front. And if you have David, let me know the rest of you. If you don't know, put a question mark. I will let you know. I have a sample of your graphs here to know what you have. So everybody, just give a quick shout out that your behavior. Chris, okay, you, Chris, because you have 3 of us. So, Chris, I want you to use influencer and compliant for your exercises. So just give me a shout back, Chris, on the chat that you got that. So I'll be utilizing score 3 over the energy line, but for this exercise, use influencer compliant. Gene, on your page, if you look at that, you should have your page on there. Let me get to here just a second, Gene. Make sure Jake's okay. Look, everyone else is all right here. Gene, I'm getting to you here. Just hold on a second. I believe you're steady and compliant, but I don't want to go from too much memory here. Just give me a moment. Make sure it looks like everyone else is good. You steady and compliant, Gene. Just give me an okay on that. Gene, you know what? Your situation. Why don't you go with steady influencer? On DISC assessment, Gene, you should have your DISC assessment, and it would be on page 10 if you have it. I'm going to use Gene's C influencer. Okay, thanks. We're in that. So we should have our DISC assessment in front of us. We don't know. Let's go to our next step here. So what I want you to have in front of you is the know yourself, the behavior selling skills. There are 4 pages. You see a copy of it on the screen here. They all look alike, except they're reflective of each behavior. So now that you've identified your primary two behaviors, I want you to select these pages. In other words, if you're an influencer compliant, you're going to work on the influencer page and the compliant page. If you're a steady influencer, you work on the steady influencer page. I think you all get that. So make sure you have those pages up. Let's just do a quick check on our chat here. Just let's make sure we're all good. Is everybody good on that? If not, here, just do this instead of everyone coming up. If you're not and you have a question, just let me know. Otherwise, I'm going to assume everybody's okay. Since looks everyone's good, we're going to go. So here's what we want to do for our first exercise. In the upper corner, we have a stay knowing yourself person. This is on the D page, so yours is going to be the same, except it'll look a little, it'll have different language. So I want to be in both pages. Understanding yourself, I want you to check off the descriptors that best describe you. Pick maybe 3 at most. You look through here and say, yep, this is me. This is me. I was hard. Whatever it is applies, I want to make sure you have an understanding of yourself. Do secondary page. Do the same thing. It's important for you to understand yourself from a behavioral standpoint. If there's anyone who doesn't understand, if you get it, I'm going to make sure I'm going to say we're okay. But if you need to know or a question on this, let me know. If I don't think on the chat, I'm going to assume we're good. Now that you know yourself as a salesperson, we're going to move over into the behavior style match section. Take a look. It gives a descriptor. Excellent, good, fair, and poor. Here's the deal, people. Some people behaviorally that you are just naturally compatible with, and it's from a behavioral standpoint. If you're a high influencer and you're communicating with a high influencer, your pace is the same, you're wanting to have fun first, everything's clicking. Somebody is far removed from your behavior, we're talking about is you are conflicted and you're a very challenged behavior match where communication breaks down. Where we have challenges in a team environment. Sales is a deal killer, or it can be if we're not prepared. Now, some of you have good behavior matches. Some have X behavior matches. You have a little of all of them. But take a look at your same pages again. If you're not working on all 4 of these pages, you're only working on the page that matches you. So what I want to now do is look down here, and if you notice, we have these little BSM numbers, right? BSM 3 for the dominant. It's a good match. Ironically, a dominant to a dominant is not a great match. It has no excellent behavior matches. Dominance, but it's if you're a primary dominant, a D is a good match, but not a great match. And for example, the reason why is our wills can take over so much, and our desire to win that we may win the battle and lose the war. We may become combative. Some of you have no BSM4s, but some of you do. So, for example, the dominant, their BSM4 is the compliant. What I want you to find, I'm not concerned right now about your BSM1 match, but I want you to look on your page and find the BSM4s. So take a moment and identify that on page. Behaviors may have no behavior match 4s, but one, and that's where we want to zoom in on. So your dominant side, this your compliant, as we have on this page, is BSM-4, very behavior match. Same for the influencer. Guys, your toughest sale is the client. And I think that's a big revelation. I think known, and we talked about this last week, that can be a real challenge for most salespeople who have a high dominant influence score. You are a steady, look at you, you have no BSM-4s, okay? Because you have the best likelihood of blending with every behavior. However, if you have some compliant in you have a challenge. In fact, you may have two challenges. Look, if you're a compliant, your compliance will be challenged with the dominance and influencers. What are we to do with this information? Mentioned before is we need to be really identifying and understanding and watching the behaviors and the trends of our prospects and clients. Some are easier to identify than others. And what we need to do is make sure that we're on the right with them and studying their behavior and pace. So if you're a dominant, for example, you're going to look down here and you're going to find out, listen, they're looking for information. I need to get them the data. Don't touch them. Need to be paid and so forth. Same thing for all of these. So I want to make sure, just give me a chat, give me a thumbs up that you're all good and you understand primary behavior style match. Or if you don't, if you have a question, give me a question mark. So just give me a quick response that we're good on that. You understand your behavior style for match, your worst match. David understands. Thanks, David. Any question, it's okay. I can help you to understand yours in your page. Have your assessment. Right. Now we understand our behavior style match. That information, what are we going to do? Well, one thing we need to do is we need to now dig in to product selection. So let's start talking about and their products. Finally, we make decisions based on our behavior, and we talked about that last week. Make quick decisions. Bottom line, results oriented. Influencer quick decisions based on impulse, and they have no loyalty. Studies make lower decisions, and they want to make it safe. Clients are slow decision makers, and they want to reduce the risk. Now, some of you, and for your prospect, there can be a blend of that, right, based on your behavior. So do they make decisions based on their behavior, select products based on their behavior? You need to understand this. So we understand their behavior, we understand the decisions they make, and we understand the types of products they select. Now we can engage with them and help them buy their way. Let's dig into this a little deeper. Let's, for example, about dominant. Remember, dominant is extrovert, task-oriented. Task-oriented. Dominants want or purchase. And again, this is also on the bottom of behavior selling skill pages. You'll see that on each page. They want new products. It makes sense in a way, doesn't it? Why? Because they're competitive. They always want to win. They will be the first on the block with a new item. So about buying rare products. So you want to put that down too. Buy new products, but they also buy rare. They're high risk takers. So if it's something that's new off the assembly line, they're attracted to being the first to get than having to go through maybe some of the glitches that haven't been worked out yet on it. They're not concerned about that. You think about this with your prospects as well. So here's what I want you to do on the chat. So we have different. Some of us selling real estate. Some of us are loan originators. Some of us are selling a whole range of internet and phone services. Some of us are just selling services. So we need to think about this. It really applies to just about everyone here on the call. So just on the chat, give me ideas on your new products. Give me some examples of new products. Now, obviously, realtors, that's the next one, right? We've got new home, new subdivision. To answer your question, I'm going to come back here in just a minute. I see your chat. So, Jake, don't worry. I'm going to come back to you here. There's some questions on this, but let's get into the beer selection. Understanding of new products that you have. Realtors, we know that you have new homes, new subdivision. David, give me an example of a new type of loan, a new product. Devin, if you're on the call, give me ideas on some of your new products. Jake, new upgrades. That's right. The new upgrades on the new version of software. You're getting the gist on that. We need to understand that they're more prone. A D will be the behavior that will have the highest probability of selecting product. Few people know about them. You're right, and that's why you're going to focus mostly on you have your demographic of certain folks that would take kind of a loan, but that would be most likely to do that would be the dominance. So you have to keep that in mind as well. I want to back up for Jake, for Gene, and anyone else. On your behavior selling skills page, when we're talking about best and worst behavior matches, look at any of your pages. The pages are different. If you look at the top, they'll say the one will be a dominant, influencer, steady, or compliant page. The middle will show behavior style matches. And you see a number, 1, 2, 3, 4, for your behavior attached to that. Still don't understand, by the end of our call, I'll bring the sheet up and I'll walk you through that specifically. But each one of you has a behavior style worst match. For example, Jake, your worst match is the C from your D side. However, you are also, I would have to say for you, Jake, your influencer is probably your toughest, although it's not a worst match. If you need more help on that, we'll talk about that at the end of our call. So let's move on. The dominant buys new products. Let's take a look at the influencer. What does the influencer want? The influencer wants showy products. All of this goes along with their behavior. Not only big, tangible products here, but some of you are selling services. So we need to come in. Things aren't as showy or flashy or sexy as a brand new cord or a brand ring. Understand that, but we have to start thinking of our products and services in this way. And I'll talk about how do you sell one behavior a different product, because you can't do that. We want to play with the averages here. Obviously, from a large ticket item, a showy product would be a very flashy, head-turning product. But let's talk about services. Let's talk about phone services. Let's talk about loans. Let's talk about something obscure other than or more software products. Could mean high tech, a lot of features. And realtors too, give them just some shouts on the chat on the type of products that you would consider as showy. Showy that would be most likely for you to line with. So getting some ideas on that. Let's move to the steady. These want traditional products. This is very important to understand with the steadies. These are looking for safe products. They're also looking for something that's traditional. The Honda Accord. Okay, they're looking for the split level ranch. Okay, they're looking for pretty simple, tried and true software products. Even though software is kind of a new thing, it really isn't anymore. It's been around. Let's take a look at the compliant. The compliant, all looking for a certain type of products. Here's what